My name is Austin Bain Shirley, and what I'm doing is I'm walking from Atlantic Beach in Jacksonville, Florida to San Diego, California to raise money and awareness for wounded veterans. What inspired this walk was really I was tired of living for myself mostly, and I really was ready to give back and kind of serve others, and nothing hit home to me more than raising money and awareness for some of our guys that have been hurt. I am a veteran. I served 4 years in the Navy, and I was attached to a CB battalion, and we did disaster relief overseas. To prep for this journey, really all I could do was save as much money, purchase all my gear, tell my school I wasn't coming back the next semester, and quit my job. Physically, I worked out a little bit, but there's only so much you can do to prepare to walk every day and live outside. Before I started this walk, I was going to school full-time, paid by the government, and I was also working at a bar down in Daytona Beach called Mai Tais. The first day of this trip was pretty funny. I started really early in the morning from Jacksonville. The weather was pretty terrible. I started out my first day in my rain gear, and I made it all the way to downtown Jacksonville. I did over 20 miles that day. I didn't really know what I was doing, and so when it came time to go to sleep that night, I thought I was going to be able to find some woods or a place to sleep somewhere, but I wasn't too experienced, so I had nowhere to go, so I really just ended up sleeping on the street in a corner under an office building. So that was kind of an eye-opener for me. For this trip, I really didn't know what to expect at all. The only thing I knew in my head is I was gonna wake up and walk each day, and that was really it. Honestly, I just expected to figure out who I was as a man. I figured I was gonna be able to really learn how to take care of myself and survive on the outside. By day 10 of this trip, I had traveled over 150 miles. I had worked out all the kinks in my body. My soreness was finally starting to go away. I was kind of acclimating to the daily lifestyle, the eating, the fatigue. I had gotten tremendously better at finding a place to sleep. That was tough to get used to. I kind of learned, how to fall off the road and, make it to where people couldn't find me. I had kind of learned how to maintain my water better, that way I wasn't drinking at all. I had learned to get off the road at sundown. I really just had started to live outside, and I had just finally adapted. I'd say at day 10, I'd kind of adapted to the lifestyle. Well, for this trip, the way I look at how people look at me now is, a lot of people look at me as I'm homeless, and that's okay. They can look at me however they want. But each night when I tried to find a place to sleep, it wasn't like camping, because I didn't know where I was going to be at the end of the day. I really didn't know what to expect from each town, because I've never been to any of these places. So when it came to finding a place to sleep, it was literally, I would just walk and walk until I figured I finally found a safe place where I could pitch my tent, where no one's going to come mess with me or, try and steal any of my stuff. And it came to me pretty quick that was the most important part, is when it came time to go to sleep, get a place where no one can find you, and you can make a nice camp, and if you need, now that it's getting colder, make a fire. A funny thing that happened in the last 30 days was my second night. My second night was probably, again, one of the most mentally tormenting, because I was in my head, it was total shell shock. I went from living in a house my whole life to living outside. Well, my second night, I couldn't find a place to sleep by sundown. So I was just walking in the dark and walking in the dark, and I was just so tired on that second day. I'd already gone over 20 miles. I finally found an abandoned building, and I figured no one was going to be there. No one was sleeping inside. There were some good woods next to it, so I pitched my tent behind it. Now it's pitch black, so I really couldn't see in these woods. I just had a small infrared light. I pitched my tent, I went in there, and I passed out real quick. I didn't even get my sleeping bag. Probably about 2 hours later, at about 10:30 at night, I woke up to the sound of a train just screeching by. Because when I pitched my tent, I couldn't see, and I pitched my tent literally about 25 feet from a train track that was active. So that was kind of funny to me. That's a memorable moment. Day 20, by the 20th day of this trip, I was feeling good. I had good momentum. The awareness was growing. I had gotten a lot of support. People were starting to reach out to the towns ahead. Churches were reaching out and taking me in. By day 20, another firehouse had taken me in, let me pitch my tent on their property. People heard about what I was doing from towns before, and they would have hot meals ready for me. They'd let me stop in, take a shower, maybe wash my clothes. Physically, I was feeling awesome. I was at least knocking out my 16 miles per day, and I just had my good momentum. We started raising money around that 20th day, and the money came in quick. The awareness on our Facebook just started going up into the thousands of likes, and really it was a good morale booster for me. I really started feeling good. By day 30 in this trip, I have accomplished over 400 miles. I've been able to raise over $5,000. I've been taken in by many great people. I've really learned how to live on the road. I've learned what's essential in my pack. I've learned how to cut as much weight as I can. I've learned how to somewhat keep a good battery on my cell phone for my satellite and for my updates at night. I've learned how much and how long the dog food can last for Archer. I've learned what shoes work the best for me. I've learned that don't overpack on clothes, only have about 2 sets of clothes and then 1 good set of winter gear. I've definitely learned how to make my bag rainproof when the storms roll in, because that was a very tough learning experience, hitting my first storm, learning how to tarp up my bag on the spot and keep my stuff dry. That was another bad memory from my first week. But yeah, I've really adapted and gotten pretty good at living outside. The first storm I encountered on this trip kind of came out of nowhere. I can't recall the city I was walking through, but it had been overcast for a couple days and the clouds were rolling in, so I kind of thought I was getting lucky and it was just going to pass by and not hit me. A friend of mine who was a big time hiker, he had told me that get good at tarping your bag up quick, because sometimes storms will come in and they'll just drench you. I just figured it would be something easy to where I'll just learn on the spot. But that wasn't the case, because I had a 14 by 10 foot tarp that was way too big to tarp up a bag. So when that storm came in, I dropped my bag, I pulled out the tarp, tried to tarp it up as best I can, but it was just not working. So for about an hour, I sat with a tarp over my bag and an umbrella over me and Archer, just hanging out, getting soaked. And eventually I just had enough. After about an hour, I just sat there and I figured out how to tarp up my bag. I took my knife and I cut portions out of it I needed to shape it to my bag, and that's how I learned to tarp it up, and that's how I learned to stay dry. So it was very crucial and very important learning experience for me. So now I'm not too worried about storms, unless there's a lot of lightning, but that's a different case. Today is my 36th day of my walk. I believe I've walked right around 500 miles, give or take a few. Our fundraiser page, the donation site, has been up for about 3 weeks now. We've raised over $5,300. Our Facebook has grown tremendously and the support is unbelievable. We have over 3,700 supporters now. Physically, we're doing awesome. You know, each day we're waking up early. We're making camp at sundown. And really we got some good momentum and everything's kind of falling into place now. Archer is a purebred Siberian Husky. He is 1 year and 7 months old. He's about 50 pounds. He is the best companion I could possibly have on this trip. He he's absolutely wonderful. You know, he brightens my day up. You know, he's so fun to walk with. He's got a tremendous amount of energy. You know, he's always awake before I am. You know, he just has a blast out here. He's got his own shoes, he's got his own pack, he carries his own food. He gets a lot of really good attention from people. I think if it wasn't for Archer, I probably wouldn't get as much hospitality as I do. And I truly believe that. He's staying absolutely healthy. I mean, he is just the greatest companion I could ever imagine to have on this walk. You know, just like me, each day he gets stronger. He's just a solid brick of muscle, and he's just fun. You know, he's also got a good scary look to him. I mean, nobody knows it. He's friendly as could be, but he does have some scary eyes. So I think, you know, he probably keeps away the wrong people. But yeah, he's just the best. To bring Archer along, you know, he's been my dog since he was a baby, and him and I would go running all the time and do everything together. So I knew he could handle it. You know, a full-grown working husky can run up to 100 miles a day, and you know, a happy husky's a healthy husky that gets out and walks and runs. And I mean, I just felt like this trip was meant for him and I. I mean, I couldn't have had a better work dog for this one. For this trip, I had to get a very specific kind of equipment. I had to get an 80-liter pack. I got all my equipment from REI. I had to get an 80-liter pack, which for me holds 60 pounds of equipment. I had to get a sleeping bag that can withstand 10-degree or higher temperatures just so I can stay warm now that it's getting colder. I carry 12 liters of water on me in a 10-liter reservoir and a 2-liter backup collapsible. I have a solar charger for my cell phone because charging that, you know, is sometimes few and far between. I have 2 pairs of clothes. One I keep clean in case I stop in somewhere, and then one I mainly keep for walking, which, you know, the clothes kind of smell bad after a while. I have my flag that I keep with me everywhere I go, and everybody who kind of supports along the way, I've had them sign it. I have a really good 3-season tent that can pretty much withstand anything, a good rainstorm or anything like that. I have 1 pair of running shoes, walking some Sauconys that have just been tremendous. A pair of sandals for my tent for, you know, getting up late at night. I don't want to put my shoes on. I have 2 pairs of really good thermal wool socks. I do have an umbrella. I have 2 tarps, one for camping and then one for wrapping up my pack when I need it. I have a first aid kit that I put together myself, which comes in handy all the time for bug bites and anti-inflammatory pills to even aspirin for Archer. Really, those are the essentials of the essentials of equipment that I have for this trip. And Archer, he has his own pack and he carries his own food, and he's got his shoes just like me, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of sunscreen. That's pretty much it. For this trip, social media has played the biggest role. Before I started this trip, I created a Facebook to kind of let my friends and family know what I was doing, and to post pictures and talk about each day. And what that did for us was it got the word out to everybody. Each town I walked through, I could give the people a way to follow us, and then they would tell their friends. And I mean, social media has really given this trip its numbers. It's gotten us our support system, no doubt about it. Without our Facebook, this trip probably wouldn't be half of what it is now. Social media has made this fundraiser. I only started with Facebook on this, but I asked a good friend of mine to kind of be my logistics manager, and if he could help out and message some of the people back that talked to me on my Facebook. I'd really appreciate it, and he did that. And he's like, also, Austin, he's like, I think you should make a Twitter and an Instagram, and because I really didn't do those, but for this trip, I created a Twitter and an Instagram as well, and those have helped out a little bit because a lot of people don't do Facebook. Some people do Twitter and Instagram, so those have brought in even more people. So those are the three kinds of social media that we use, and it has really given this trip the support it has. For this trip, I got an iPhone 5, which lets me do everything from my GPS to making updates on my Facebook to being able to call my mom and dad at night. It's really given me the ability to do everything that I need. Yeah. Okay, well, one thing is, yesterday I was walking out of a city called Bayou de Battery, and I got started nice and early, and I was walking out of the town. I had done about 5 miles. I was feeling good, and actually all the police officers that day in that town had stopped and said hi to me. Talked to them. Okay, nice to meet you guys. Real cool people. Kept on going. Well, then a man in a black SUV is stopped at a gas station, and he waves me over to his car, and he says, "Hey, I'm Detective Bragg or Bag, something like that." He says, "Come here real quick." I said, "Hey, what's going on? I'm Austin Shirley." And he said, "Oh, I know who you are." He said, "Well, I need you to get in the car. I got orders from the mayor to bring you back to City Hall, and he's taking you lunch. So pop the trunk, throw your stuff in, let's go." So that was kind of cool. Kind of caught me off guard. Man, really have to look at my journal for this. Shoot. Well, what I do is throughout this trip, I started writing a journal each night to kind of keep track of my days and really kind of get the small details, into there so I can remember them at the end. That got tough. That got old after 4 days because I was too exhausted to write anything at night. So what I started doing is I just started speaking into the voice recorder of my iPhone at night for probably about 10-15 minutes. So I've accumulated probably about a good 5 or 6 hours of sound recordings. So when I finish this up, I'll have a good recollection of what's going on. Absolutely. So far, Gaucher has been absolutely wonderful to me. Walked into the city today, met a lot of friendly people. I stopped in the gas station, use the restroom or whatever, and people were very friendly, asked me what I'm doing, asked me about the dog, and definitely felt a really warm welcoming here. Not to mention the firefighters have clearly gone out of their way to take care of Archer and I and provide us a hot meal and get us a bed and a shower tonight. So, so far what this city of Gaucher has done for us is by far more than we're thankful for. Especially the firefighters taking us in and going out of their way to purchase us a hotel, let us hang out in their warm living room, and get me a steak dinner. You know, it's been quite nice. It's been one of the good days. There's no doubt about it. And for that, I am forever thankful.